Guys, Jack here. I'm so excited to make this video. This is going to be my first set review I've ever done. This is such a special set. It's one of the biggest set releases in years, and it introduces Team Rocket's Pokemon back into the TCG. I think when did Team Rocket's Return come out? I think it was like a 2005 set. So it's literally been 20 years since we got Rocket's Pokemon. So I'm just going to go through each card and discuss the competitive viability, and then I'll go back around and I'll talk about the artwork. Let's get into my top 5 Destiny Rivals cards. We'll start with number 5. I think Ethan's Typhlosion is super good. You have the whole package with Quilava, being able to search for Ethan's Adventure. Ethan's Adventure is a good supporter. Searches your deck for Ethan's Pokemon or Fire Energy. And Ethan's Typhlosion can hit some crazy numbers for a single prizer for just 1 energy. It seems like a very strong line right now. I just don't know if it has everything it needs, but maybe in a few more sets it will have the cards it needs to be pretty good and stay up near the top decks. Fourth, I have Cynthia's Garchomp EX. Gabite is crazy. Gabite actually is a spiritual successor to the Gabite we had in Dragon's Exalted with our Fluffy Chomp deck. It's actually very similar to Fluffy Chomp. It's just a little bit more consistent, a little bit more well-positioned than Fluffy Chomp was. At the time, Fluffy Chomp was kind of a fun deck that people were excited about. It was like one of those self-contained archetypes in one set, and it was the start of Dragon Pokemon in the TCG, so they're like, well, this is the ultimate Dragon deck, and it just turned out not to be great. It just wasn't good. Cynthia's Garchomp is totally different. It has a lot of HP. You have Cynthia's Power Bracelet, which gives Cynthia's Pokemon 70 more HP, so you can make a 400 HP Cynthia's Garchomp. Its first attack hits for a good 100 damage and draws until you have 6, so you're pretty consistent deck. And then you have Roserade to boost your damage even more, and you have Spiritomb. A lot of people haven't been talking about Spiritomb, but Spiritomb is really great. Since you have a lot of HP, you can take a big hit from like a Dragapult on a Garchomp, and if you have your Roserades down, Dragapult's going to put 260 on the board, okay? And then you can put down a Spiritomb. Garchomp has free retreat, attach one to Spiritomb, and if you have 2 Roserade in play, you're one-shotting the Dragapult back at full HP with a 1 prizer. And Spiritomb is searchable by Buddy Poffin because it's 70 HP. So that whole package is really good, and I think the Cynthia's Garchomp EX deck has some legs, and we'll see how well it does. However, I do think it's a little too self-contained as an archetype. You have to use all Cynthia's Pokemon, and you're not getting any more Cynthia's Pokemon. So like Ethan's Typhlosion, we'll have to see what cards come out later that may make it even better. But I think it is a stronger deck than the Ethan's Typhlosion deck, and right now, just initially, I think it's at least a tier 2 deck. So third, I have Team Rocket's Watchtower. Very, very strong stadium. However, it is a little passive for me to say it's great. You can always counter Team Rocket's Watchtower if you're playing a colorless ability deck. The effect of Team Rocket's Watchtower is really strong. Don't get me wrong. But there are decks out there that don't play any colorless abilities that stadium is terrible against, and the decks that do play colorless abilities are usually Area 0 Underdepth decks, and they're usually playing at least 2 stadiums, maybe 3 now that Watchtower is a thing. So you're going to have to play at least 3 Watchtower for you to win the Stadium War. You can probably slide with 2 and maybe an Iono, but that doesn't really protect you, because if they're Noctoling, you need the Watchtower like on the board, and then you need to also make sure they don't have a stadium to get rid of the Watchtower so they can Noctowl. I think what these Noctowl decks are going to do, or they're just going to be a little bit more proactive with it. They'll be a little weaker than Iono. I mean, it's going to put a little bit more pressure on their consistency, but I don't think it's going to shut them out of the format, and I don't think it's going to be, just bad for them, right? I don't think it's going to sway me, at least, from not playing, or from playing a Noctowl deck. However, though, ability lock on a stadium, always strong. We had Path of the Peak. That was a crazy stadium. You could play 4 of those, though, because they showed off abilities around the board, so it made sense because you didn't really care about what matchup. You're always hitting something with Path of the Peak. Watchtower is a little more direct and a little more situational, not hitting every single matchup. That's why I have it at number 3. Number 2, we have Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX. I think the Grimmsnarl deck with Frostlass is going to be a tier 1 deck. It's doing very well in Japan. It just won the Full Grip $3,000 tournament very handedly. The player went 2-0 and top 8 through finals. They didn't drop a game, and they were beating decks like Raging Bolt and like Gardevoir and things like that. So decks that should also be in the top tier, just easily getting through those. And the Marnie Grimmsnarl deck has looked like such a contender for best deck. However, it is a little weak to Iono. You can probably play it a little differently. You probably have to learn how to play your deck in a way that makes it less susceptible to Iono, but I haven't really figured that out yet because it just relies mainly on supporter draw and no Pokemon on board stuff. So if the board state is being controlled well by your opponent and they Iono you late and then they're able to knock out your attacker, you could be in big trouble. And that was what I was finding recently, but I need to practice it more because I don't think I've been playing it very well, and I need to kind of learn how to play it better. But it is a very strong card. That's why I have it number 2. And of course, number 1, we have Shaman. Shaman's great. It's going to go into a lot of decks. It's going to make a lot of decks better. It's going to make some decks worse. But the reason why I have it number 1 because it is a must-have. You know, you can get by but not having Marnie's Grimmsnarl or Cynthia's Garchomp. But Shaman, you should definitely get. And luckily, it's an uncommon in this set, and it should be very cheap, so it should be very easy to get. But I would definitely have a couple if you have multiple decks. You probably just play one in your Stage 2 decks, and you can possibly play it in like Raging Bolt in case you want to protect your Hoot Hoots from other Raging Bolts or even Grimmsnarl. It's actually good against Grimmsnarl as well. So those are my top 5. I do have a couple honorable mentions. My first one is going to be Yanmega EX. Its ability, we'll get into it. Its ability is really strong. I don't see it ever being a bulk card. I think its ability is so strong, and we'll see where it lands. I just don't know what to pair it with yet, and I just don't know if it is great in any deck right now. I don't think it's a standalone card either. It just feels like one of those cards that's going to get a lot better as more sets come out. So we'll keep an eye on Yanmega. And my second honorable mention is Team Rocket's Arbok. If it's active, your opponent can't play any ability Pokemon from their hand. That is super strong. That hits a lot of decks. However, it's a stage 1, and you need to find a way to get it out before your opponent's like, I don't care. And then maybe it doesn't even hit some decks like Joltik Box. It doesn't really do anything to, and you're probably just going to take an L of that. And that's a pretty popular deck right now. I don't see that deck getting worse. I actually might get a little bit better with the decks that are going to be played. But I think that's a sneaky card that people haven't been really talking about. I think Jake Gearhart was talking about it and like doing this. You poison your Badoo or you poison your baby Pokemon, and then you use TM Evo and it dies, and then you send up Arbok in the same turn going second. It's like some crazy stuff, and you just get the lock immediately. However, Arbok has to be active, so you can boss around it, which every deck plays boss. And you don't want to just leave Arboks on your field. Like, you can't get multiple Arboks out. Unless if you TM Evo and you have 2 Arboks on your bench and that's it, or 2 Arboks on your field and that's it, then yeah, I guess you have the lock. But if they have any attacker that doesn't care about Arbok, then you're kind of screwed. So that's why I have it honorable mention 2. Otherwise, those are the big cards I saw looking through this set initially. But let's get into it. So we'll start off with Ethan's Pinsir. This is not a great card. This is kind of bulk. Rallying Horn's kind of interesting. Grass is a good type right now, but 3 energy is crazy. You're not really getting that, and you have to play it in Ethan's Pokemon deck, which doesn't have any sort of energy acceleration, so you're probably never using Rallying Holy Iron. So this is just a bulk card. And then we got Yanma, 70 HP, perfect, buddy buddy, and that evolves into Yanmega EX. Here's Buzzing Boost. This is such an interesting ability, like I was saying. You switch it to active spot, you get your 3 basic energy grass from your deck, and you put it on there, and then you can Jet Cyclone for 210. You get to move 3 energy to one of your bench Pokemon from Yanmega. So if they decide to boss something else and kill that, whatever you put the 3 energy on, then you can send something up and then retreat to Yanmega to get 3 more energy and hit for 210. And 210 is such a good number. It kills Ogerpons. It kills some other basics like Fez. And it's self-sufficient. It powers itself up. I just think there's no way this card is bad. I just don't know what deck to put it in. And I might actually test some decks for NAIC. But this might be an after NAIC card, to be honest. Pineco, there's a Fortress later. We'll look at that, but I think it's bulk. Shroomish and Breloom also bulk. We have Cynthios, Roselia, and Roserade. These are decent. I mean, if you're going to play the Cynthios Garchomp deck, you definitely pick these up. Chiron to Glory, 30 more damage, really strong. Does not offer any consistency. Luckily, Garchomp has a consistency attack built in. It's good. It's good, but it's not great. Rotom, Shaman, of course, best card in the set. We have Dwebble. Now, Dwebble and Crustle. So Crustle has a Safeguard ability, and Dwebble has Ascension. It's also 70 HP. Great amount of HP. Buddy buddy, and you're also saved from the Dragapult. So Crustle, 150 HP on a Safeguard is decent. And this has been seeing play in Japan, but it's kind of leveled off recently. I think this card is good. I would get a couple if you could. But right now, I don't think it's great in the format. It may pop up later, right? Fomantis, Lurantis, or Bulk. Blipbug, unfortunately, Bulk, this whole line is not great. I love that it's a Rockets Pokemon. I think that our commons are like special like this, like Owner's Pokemon commons make opening a pack so much more fun. However, Bulk, Applin, Diplin, and Hydrapple. Hydrapple has a really interesting attack, but it's not good. You have to discard 6 grass from your hand to knock out your opponent's active Pokemon. And it's so gimmicky, but it's like I've never seen something like that where you like discard energy to like just get an auto knock on an active. So that's kind of interesting. Otherwise, Bulk. Tarantula and Spidops. This is a good card. You should definitely get this. Rocket Rush is a really strong attack. Like I said, I think Grass is really good. You hit for 180 with a full Rocket board. And charging up is very self-sufficient. We love those types of abilities. You can attach to itself, and you just one attach away to powering this up, which is very easy. However, I think the Rocket archetype as a whole is pretty weak, which is why I didn't really have this in my top cards for the set. I would pick these up, though. I would get a 4/4 line just in case. Maybe something comes out later that makes Rocket a lot better. Or maybe the format shifts, or maybe Rocket is good and we're all wrong. That could totally be a thing, but I just don't think the Rocket archetype is great. This card is good, though. All right, this is the worst EX line I've seen in a while. Arboliva EX is terrible. Oil Savo is his only good attack, and Shaman's in the same set. Terrible Bulk. Same thing with Rabska, also just really bad. These are like some promos from Japan that they threw in. Ogerpon's Bulk, Growlithe, Arcanine Bulk, Ponyta. Rapidash has like you draw a card, which is interesting, but not good enough to really ever see any play. So I would say it's Bulk. Moltres EX is a huge disappointment. It's just not good. Its attacks cost way too much to do very little. Discarding an active Pokemon seems really strong, but it's really not because it just doesn't do anything, you know? They just build up something else. They're like, okay. So this is just, unfortunately, a Bulk EX. It's so cool looking. I love the art, but it's just not good. Now we have the Ethan's line. Like I said, this is really strong. Quilava searching your deck for a supporter is crazy. Very strong. Needs a little bit more to be a contender, but I'm keeping my eye on it. I would definitely pick up a playset of each of these. Unfortunately, Ethan Cargo is not good. Lava Burst is just kind of gimmicky. You can't really control that too well, and it's just kind of bad. There might be some cards later on that could make this decent, but otherwise, I'm not crazy about it. Houndour and Houndoom, unfortunately, are really cool bulk, but they're bulk. Ho-EX. Now, people have been saying this is great with the Armourouge. I'm not convinced. Its ability is so strong, right? You get to accelerate 2 basic fire to one of your bench Ethan's Pokemon. And, oh wait, you could use this with the Pinsir. Okay, that's a little more interesting. Sorry, I missed that. But, otherwise, I don't think this is great. This could be a tech in some sort of deck against, like, Marnie, because it heals 50 from each of your Pokemon with its Shining Feathers attack. If you have 2 Ho-EX on your field, you can Golden Flame to 1 Ho-EX with 4 Fire Energy, and then just Shining Feathers and heal everything and totally mess up their game plan. So that's kind of like the only case use I see for it right now. Like I said, I don't think the Ethan's deck as a whole is too great. I think Ethan's Typhlosion is pretty self-sufficient, so that line is good. But otherwise, I'm not sold on Ho, but I would definitely get a couple. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. Torchic. Okay, I just want to shout out this Torchic. This is an incredible Torchic. Blaziken EX is really interesting. And this is the Torchic that it kind of needed to be a little bit more viable. So maybe we'll see some Blaziken EX decks popping up. I don't think Blaziken EX as a whole is great, but we did get a Blaziken in this set that does 120 and then snipes another 20, and it discards 2 energy, which doesn't really matter in a Blaziken deck because they just reattach it. This did come out in the same set as Shaman, so it's probably not great. But more Blaziken stuff. Blaziken's looking kind of interesting. Might be worth looking at later. Definitely not going to practice it for NAIC, though. Alright, Bulk. Misty Psyduck, really interesting ability. Haven't seen anything like that before. This is a gimmicky deck, unfortunately. All the Misty's decks are really good Magikarp, great ability for Magikarp. Gyarados can hit a lot of damage, but you're gonna mill yourself out. You're gonna discard all your good cards to keep up the damage. It's just not good. This has never been good. Lapras, Articuno. This is a great card for the Rocket deck. Repelling Veil is a really strong effect. And it actually, if people don't know, Repelling Veil will block the bench damage counters from Dragapult EX. So it like saves 60 damage against the Dragapult deck, which is really strong. Otherwise, though, like I said, the Rocket deck is not great. I'm not super crazy about it, but I would pick this up. Cynthia's Feebas and Cynthia's Melodic, classic, but not good. Bulk, Clamperl, Huntail. Huntail's got this gimmicky ability that's kind of interesting. Gorbis also kind of works in tandem, but it's bulk, unfortunately. Buizel and Floatzel, bulk. Snover and Abomasnow, bulk. Washrodom, Arrokuda, Barraskewda, all bulk. Citadel. So Cititan is really interesting and has a really nice ability. However, it's just not... 280 is not the number you want to hit. 280 is not doing much. You need to hit 320 or more. Stage 2 decks rule the format. And this is not even knocking out a Gardevoir with 310. Yeah, you're not getting bossed, but it's a 4 energy attack to do 280 if there's a stadium in play. This is a deck I think that could abuse like Rocket's Watchtower because you have 4 in play, or you could play 4 to Crushing Press, but your deck's going to be so slow that you probably are going to give up like 3 or 4 prizes to like a Raging Bolt before you can attack with said Titan, and then Raging Bolt's just going to kill the Titan. So I don't think this deck's that good. I think it's a little too slow for the format, or this card is that good. I think it's a little too slow. But interesting card, good card. I would pick up a couple. Dondozo EX is absolute bulk, terrible. Unfortunately, Electivire is also in that bulk tier. It's just not good. I love Electivire. I think it's really cool when he gets rare, like ultra rares like this, but unfortunately not good. Rocket Zapdos. This is really cool. So this kind of harks back to Rising Rivals, and I didn't really discuss it earlier, but there's a lot of kind of Easter eggs in this set. This is one of them. So back in Platinum, way back in 2009, this is when I started playing. Sorry. Um, they introduced character cards again with SP Pokemon, and Rising Rivals was the second set of that set block to feature character Pokemon, and Destined Rivals, which rivals and rivals, right? Rising Rivals, Destiny Rivals, is also the second set in a set block to feature character Pokemon. In Rising Rivals, they released Ambipom G. Ambipom G was pretty good. It had a attack name called Tailcode. Well, Rocket Zapdos with Jamming Wing is the same thing as Tailcode. Tailcode didn't do any damage, and it was only one energy. But Jamming Wing is kind of one energy with the Rocket's energy, and you move an energy from an opponent's active Pokemon to one of their bench Pokemon. It's just like Tailcode. I think this card is actually pretty interesting. You would probably run it in a Rocket's deck. It's a really annoying ability that's actually, or a really annoying attack that's actually kind of effective against some decks, especially Dragapult. Like if they're like Badooing and stuff, you're like okay, and you can like boss up, or you can I guess Giovanni up a Dracloak with an energy on it that they're powering up, and you can Jamming Wing and then move the energy to Badoo, right, and totally just ignore the Badoo and build up a bunch of energy on Badoo and really shut out Dragapult's consistency in powering itself up, and that's really strong, I think. So that's why I think this card's good. I also want to say on back on the Rising Rivals is that they also have each Rotom form as a common in the set. And Rising Rivals is the first set to introduce the Rotom forms as little secret rares. And that's where I got my web name as Rotom Boys, because I was super obsessed with Platinum and the game and the Rotom forms when I started playing at Rising Rivals. And not to mention, also, we're about to get into it, there's some other Easter eggs from other sets in this set that makes this set so fun. Ethan's Pikachu, or Pichu, sorry. Interesting card. Okay, 30 damage kills Badoo, and you draw a card. It's not a bad attack for no energy. You free retreat. You can search it with Ethan's Adventure. This could see play, maybe as a situational basis. Otherwise, I just don't know where it would fit. And Badoo's a little too strong to play Pichu over Badoo right now. Or even Cleffa. I think Cleffa is better than Pichu. But this is like the third best baby Pokemon. So that's something to be said. It may see play later. We'll see how the format shapes up. But I would definitely get a couple of these just to be prepared. So speaking of Easter eggs, this is a spiritual successor to Dark Ampharos and Team Rocket Returns. Unfortunately, they didn't really scale it very well for this format. Darkest Impulse not being able to stack is pretty disappointing. Not that it would have been broken if it was able to stack. This card is just bulk, but it is really cool to see them acknowledge the cards that they made in the past and kind of bring them back to standard, reimagine. So it was cool to see this, and there's a couple other cards that I'll also cover later that are like that as well. Electrike and Manectric, bulk. Another Rotom, bulk. Zeraora is a little interesting. There's no like lightning acceleration beyond Joltik, and you wouldn't Joltik to this either. But Thunder Raid is interesting because you do 2 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon EX. Now Shaman came out in this set, but Shaman does not protect EXs, or any Roblox for that matter. So you can snipe a Fez. You can't snipe a Terra, so don't try to snipe an Ogerpon with this. But you can snipe a Fez, and a lot of benches have Fez on them anyway. So that's why I'm kind of pointing this out. You don't have to pick one of these up. Probably will never be good, but it is an interesting attack. Drowsy and Hypno, people were playing this initially, but it's a little too flippy for my liking. I've demoted it to bulk. All right, Rocket Speed 2 EX. Let's go over this very quickly. 200 HP on a basic is crazy. Power Saver is not. Power Saver is a terrible ability. We have an Erasure Ball. It does 160 and you discard 2 energy and does another 60 for each energy you discarded. So you do 280. You do 280. You don't do the number you need to hit, like 320 or 330. You do 280. And you're a Psychic type. That's not really like a great type because you're weak to dark. You're gonna get smashed by Barney's Grimmsnarl, smashed by it. You're gonna have to hope that you can go to Spide Ops, but even if you go to Spide Ops, they can just sit behind a Badoo and Badoo you, and then Monkey Dory all the damage off from the Frost Lasses that are damaging your Spide Ops until your whole board is able to be TM Devoed, and then you can't knock out a Grimmsnarl, and Grimmsnarl knocks out Mewtwo. All this stuff, and that's just one matchup. It's just like a worse Raging Bolt deck, you know? Power Saver is just also not great because there's times where you just don't draw enough Team Rocket Pokemon, and then your Mewtwo is a brick, and it just can't do anything. But 280 HP is kind of insane. I don't think this card's good, but I would pick up a couple. I would just pick up a couple because maybe it could be good. Could be good later. Wobbuffet, unfortunately, really cool to see a Rockets Wobbuffet, but bulk. Stevens, okay, yeah, these are not good. Summoning Sign's decent, but it's 60 HP. You just never play that. Chingling, Rocket's baby Pokemon's interesting. Discard a random card from your opponent's hand. Could be good after like an Iono, but I just don't think you would play this. I think you just like knock stuff out. Stevens Carbink, it's just a defensive card. This honestly, if there is a good Stevens deck, I would definitely consider playing this. 80 HP makes it hard to search, but otherwise, like Stone Palace could be kind of annoying if the Stevens deck is good. However, I don't think the Stevens deck is good, so I'm going to demote this to bulk. Team Rocket's Mimikyu, Gemstone Mimicry is a little situational, but there are a lot of Terra Pokemon. So I would just get one of these for your Rockets deck. Otherwise, it doesn't really see play outside of that. I don't think you play this in Gardevoir. You wouldn't want to cut one of your other single prize attackers for this in Gardevoir because the other single prize attackers are just way too good for this to be cut over it. So I just pick up a couple, maybe one, actually. And then yeah, we're Dottler and Orbeetle. We had the Blipbug earlier. These are just not great. Cool art, of course, but not crazy about it. Primate. This is an interesting line. I think it's bulk, but loose cool, like Impact Blow, you can hit 280 for 2, which is, one, not the right numbers, but if you're probably playing like Venture Bomb in this, so you can like maybe get lucky with the Venture Bomb flips. Like I said, I think this is bulk, but it's an interesting. They make the Annihilates really kind of cool recently. Ethan Sudowoodo, not good. It's just not good. All right, so here's another like Easter egg. We have Rocket's Tyranitar back. It's just like the Dark Tyranitar in Team Rocket Returns. That card was good. This card, unfortunately, is not. Sandstream is a good ability. However, Demolition Tackle, you're never getting that. Team Rocket Tyranitar is going to die before you can get Demolition Tackle off. Pupitar makes it a little easier to get it out. So I think this card is kind of decent. And it could possibly see play later down the line, depending on what comes out, honestly, because Sandstream is such a strong ability. However, right now, kind of bulk, to be honest. Cool card, though. I really like that they brought it back. Nosepass, Probopass, bulk. Metatype, Metacham, bulk. Regirock, unfortunately, so cool to see Reggie as an EX. This is a bulk card. It's not good. Does 280, of course. Okay, and now we're on the Garchomp. I went over this a little bit. I mean, Gabite's crazy. Garchomp has great attacks. You pair with Roselia, pair with Spiritomb, and you have a pretty good deck. So that's all I'm going to say about that right now. I would definitely pick up these. All right, more bulk. Let's get through it. We're on Arven's Pokemon. Arven's Pokemon are kind of interesting. They all take colorless attacks or colorless energy to attack. However, they are not good. So I don't know. Maybe if you need a tech, you could play Arven's Pokemon, but otherwise, bulk. Bulk. Alright, so now we're on Arbok. So Ekans having 70 HP is once again good. Drag down is not a bad attack. You have Arbok. Spinning Tail does 30 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon, or each of your opponent's Pokemon. Shaman is going to unfortunately block that for any non-rulebacks Pokemon, but Potent Glare might be able to stop your opponent from like at least Ultra Balling for a Shaman. Decks are still going to play a lot of Buddy Buddy Poffin. You can't Buddy Buddy Poffin a Shaman. And maybe that's a little bit of a oversight by me because maybe Shaman isn't as strong because you can't Buddy Buddy Poffin it. And decks are not going to cut Buddy Buddy Poffins for Nest Ball. They'll probably play like 1 or 2 Nest Ball and like 3 Buddy Buddy, or maybe 2 Buddy Buddy, or maybe 3 Buddy Buddy and 1 Nest Ball, whatever combination. So Shaman might not come down immediately, right? And maybe you might be able to attack with Spinning Tail before Shaman comes down. And 30 to everything is pretty strong. And Potent Glare is a really strong ability, so that's why I had this as an honorable mention. I think this card could be secretly really good. I would definitely get a couple of these. Very cool to see. Like Dark Awakening is also a Easter egg back to Team Rocket Returns with the Dark Nidorina. It's really cool to see these guys. Unfortunately, they're bulk. They're just not great. Oh, and then yeah, my favorite Pokemon's in this set, Crobat. It's like the old Crobat from Phantom Forces, where the Golbat would do 2 and the Crobat would do 3. But this Crobat's a little bit better. It does 2 to 2 different Pokemon, and then you can return it back to your hand. Unfortunately, if you have a Rocket's Energy on Crobat, you have to discard the Rocket's Energy, and you only have 4 of those, and you can't get them back. So discarding one's kind of a costly thing. However, I think this card is decent. Zubat having 50 HP is really bad. And I don't know how this does against like the Grimmsnarl deck and things like that. It just doesn't really have a pair right now. You can set it up easily with like some of the Rocket supporters, but what do you do after that? You know, you're just not putting enough damage on the board after that. You're gonna start getting overrun by most of the big decks. So I have this as good. I would get a couple if they're cheap, but I wouldn't be trying to throw it in anything. Grimer and Muck, classic Rocket Pokemon. They're just unfortunately not good. Same thing with Coughing and Wheezing. Coughing has a decent ability. It lets you put more Coughing on your bench. However, it's just kind of gimmicky. It just doesn't really do anything after that, right? Rocket's Murkrow is a little interesting. Torment's a really strong attack right now. And Deceit lets you search your deck for a supporter. So this could be kind of like a Maractus tier kind of card where you play it and you surprise your opponent. However, it's a little less of a lock than Maractus. Maractus can literally lock down a game depending on what your opponent plays. Torment, they can retreat out of it and just attack with something else. But, I don't know, it's interesting. Can't be searched with Buddy Buddy Poppin', which kind of stinks. Sneasel would be really cool if Shaman wasn't in format. Because Strike the Sleeper is actually a really strong attack. Because it just does a crazy amount of damage. But Shaman's in format. So this is kind of just bulk. Maybe I'd pick up one. Maybe I'd pick up one of the Murkrow too. But otherwise, not great. Spiritom's really good. It's a sleeper card in the Garchomp deck. It can hit a lot of damage. Matchup specific though, like it doesn't really, obviously it doesn't do anything if your Garchomps are getting knocked out. But like against Dragapult, it's super strong. It's like super strong against Dragapult. I would get a couple. Yeah, these are bulk. The only good Marnie Pokemon are the Grimmsnarl line. Obviously, Punk Up. It can just 5 basic Dark is crazy. You just power up a Grimmsnarl and then like a Morgrim or Impidimp and just thin your deck, and then you Shadow Bullet. Shadow Bullet's a really good attack, and yeah, this deck is really strong. I would definitely, if you can find the Marnie's deck for a good price, like $25 or less, I would pick that up. The Grimmsnarls aren't that expensive though; they're like $5. So if you just want the Grimmsnarls, you can get the common somewhere else. I would just get the Grimmsnarls. I would definitely build this deck though. This is a really strong deck right now. Morpeko is not good though. So Mabosstiff VX is like the big Arven Pokemon. If something is weak to Dark, Vigorous Tackle is a decent tech Dark attack because it takes colorless. Right now, though, it's not great. Vigorous Tackle also does not kill a Guardy, does not one-shot a Guardy, does 300 to a Guardy, not 310. So the damage isn't really there. I wish it just did like 40 plus 120, so you just do the 320. If Mewtwo comes big, this could be big, but like there's probably better options anyway. So it's just not great. I just say this is bulk, unfortunately. Fortress is bulk, Skarmory. There's two Skarmories in the set, and they're both not good. We have the Stevens Metagross. I did buy the Stevens Metagross deck. I have some Cook I wanna do with it. Right now though, I'm not gonna talk about that. We'll talk about it later. But really strong ability. If things come out later that give Metagross some better consistency, hint hint, it could be good. It could be good. I would get the deck if it's like 20 bucks, 25 bucks. I bought mine for 25. Didn't feel like I lost money. It felt like a good buy. You get the Beldum, you get like the art rares they're worth a little bit in there, so that kind of helps offset the cost. But decent card. Zamazenta is not good. I don't know. It's just not good. It's not good. It's just bulk. Raticate, classic Rocket Pokemon, just not good. Meowth is not good, but it's cool to see Meowth. Persian is a really weird attack with Haughty Order, but it's so situational. You're probably actually not even going to hit a Pokemon, and the Pokemon that you do hit is not going to really do anything. It's probably just going to be like a basic or like a stage. Like if you hit a Raging Bolt here, what do? Do you just discard all the energy on your field to kill something? It's just not great. It's cool to see Persian though. Kangaskhan's bulk. Porygon is bulk. It's kind of cool. I like Porygon Z, but it's bulk. And bulk. Greedent, if Arven's Sandwich is ever good, this would be a staple, but I don't think it'll ever be good. So it's bulk. Squawkabilly is also bulk. Now we go on the trainers. Trainers are generally kind of good. So we'll go through those. Arven Sandwich, like I said, Arven Sec is good. It's great, but I don't think it's ever going to be good. Cynthia's Power Weight, I think I said Inklet earlier, but this card's really strong in the Cynthia's deck. 70 HP, nothing to scoff at. Play your Jamming Towers. MC's Hype, it's a decent, it's like, one of those draw 2 additional effect supporters. It's decent, but whatever, it's not that great. Energy Recycle is back. Obviously, like how Energy Recycle has always been, if it's strong in the deck, it's strong and it's strong. If it's otherwise, it's not good, right? It's just, you're never going to play this over like Night Stretcher or even Super Rod. Ethan Adventure, really strong supporter. Won't be played outside of an Ethan's deck though, but really strong. Granite Cave's terrible, really bad. Really sad to see this as the stadium Steven got, but it's cool to see Granite Cave. Judge is back, although it is not changed the legality of Judge. It's still a G, not an I, so it's just a reprint to, I guess, make new art and put it in more people's hands. Secret Ash is back, just like Energy Recycler. It's good in the decks it's good in, and otherwise it's not, right? Spikemuth Gym is crazy, and the reason why I didn't have this on my top 5 list is because I kind of included that with the Marnie's Grimmsnarl ranking. Search your deck for a Pokemon with a Stadium, well, I guess a Marnie's Pokemon, but still, is so strong. Games that typically give consistency in some way are always good, right? Alright, so now we're on the Rocket stuff. Team Rocket's Archer could be really strong. I mean, there's some argument here with like the Chimecho or the Chingling. Sorry, not Chimecho, the Chingling. Because they'll knock out the Chingling really easily because the baby, and then you can Archer them right after and send them down to 3 cards very early. Or if you do play Chingling, you can Archer them and then Chingling, right? Something like that. So decent card. Ariana, it's okay. I mean, it's card draw, but you're not really discarding too many cards in the Rocket deck because there's nothing that discards cards from your hand in the Rocket deck. So how many cards are you really actually going to draw? Drawing until you have 8 is strong, but I feel like your hand's going to just get big. You probably just play like 1 or 2 of these to just protect yourself from the Iono, right? Botherbot's terrible, horrible. Rocket's Factory is really interesting. There's another consistency stadium card. You draw 2 if you play a supporter, and you can actually play the supporter and then play down Rocket's Factory and draw 2. So it works kind of retroactively like that. I think it's good. You might find yourself choosing Watchtower over Factory, but otherwise, I think it's fine. Giovanni, it's Guzma in a Rockets deck, super strong. As strong as the Rockets deck is going to be good, right? But this could be the reason why the Rockets deck's good. Great Ball is just capturing aroma for Rockets Pokemon, so it's a decent item card. That's about it. I mean, it's kind of flippy, but Petrol is the best Rockets supporter because you can play it in anything. It's Skyla. If you know what Skyla is, well, it's Petrol. Search your deck for a trainer card. This can help you get your Watchtowers like immediately. If they fan Rotom, set up their Hoot Hoots, you can go turn to Petrol, get Watchtower, and be like, hope you have a stadium, right? That's what makes the Watchtower a little scary for the Noctowl decks. But how often are you going to have that? And this card is weak outside of those types of applications. That's why I'm saying, like, instead of playing the factories, maybe you play the Petrol because, well, I'll go to Transceiver now. This card's crazy. You can just search for the Petrol going second, and then Transceiver, get Petrol, get the Watchtower. Boom, you got a lock on the colorless Noctowl decks. Could be really strong. We'll see. Proton's really interesting. I mean, it's a Bridget for Rocket Pokemon, but you can use it on your first turn. So does Rocket want to go first or does Rocket want to go second? I have no clue. But with Transceiver, you're going to set up your board with Proton, which is really strong. I mean, yeah, that could be great. So we'll see. But all the Rockets cards, as I've said, are pretty self-contained, and they're only as strong as the Rockets deck is, right? Petrol being the only exception, because this might see play outside of Rockets decks. Venture Bomb's really funny. I also love, this is another Easter egg, they had a Venture Bomb in Team Rocket Returns. It was a silly card. It did 1 damage counter instead of 2. This one does 2. 2 is a little bit more relevant, a little bit more strong. It's interesting. I mean, it's probably not good, but it just sets up for some funny combos, right? Watchtower, as I said, just a strong card. A little passive. We'll see what impact it makes, but it's good. I like this card being in the format. TM Machine is the last trainer. You search your deck for 3 technical machines, put them in your hand. Why would you play this? I don't know. It's a silly card. I think it's kind of those gimmicky cards. Probably won't ever be great. Could be in a gimmicky archetype. And finally, the last card, Team Rocket's Energy Busted. It's crazy. This is a crazy card. It's 2 Psychic or Dark Energy to a Rocket's Pokemon. And it does not discard. Which I thought it discarded when I first read it, and I was like, it discards, so it's not that great. No, it just stays on there. So, it's a really strong card. So, I don't know. Maybe Rocket has everything it needs, but we'll just see. I'm going to build the Rockets deck and test it before NAIC and see what I can do. But that's it for competitive review of Destiny Rivals. Overall, I think this set's good. I think it's probably worth opening if you're a collector. You want the art because there's a lot of great art, even in the commons and things like that. And I wonder, this feels like a set that has some good cards initially, but as more sets come out, I think people will come back to this set and look at these cards and pick more cards out of this set to be good and play in decks, especially that like Yamega or Arbok. We'll see. But I think that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you want more. I'm going to be trying to post more now that I had some busy I had a busy April and May. June's gonna be a little busy because I have NEIC. But after that, I should be pretty free, and hopefully I can make some more videos. But once again, thank you guys for watching. See you in the next.